Nobody loves you unconditionally. It took me 87 years to finally understand that. Your mom loves you, your partner loves you too, and your best friend, yeah, they do as well. But there's something I've come to notice over the years, and it's not as simple as you might think. Inside what you call love, there are expectations, there are fears, there are habits. Sometimes there are needs that nobody ever puts a name to. I may seem like I'm saying this to you, but honestly, I'm saying it to myself just as much. My name is Raymond. Most people just call me Ray. I worked at a bank for 41 years. My whole life was spent watching people come in and out of that door. Rich men, broke men, young couples just starting out, old widows trying to hold it all together. And I learned something there, something that sounds simple, but took me another 40 years to really apply to my own life. Every transaction has two sides, every single one. Love is no different from that. Nobody gives without getting something back. Not really. You may not even realize you're doing it, but you are. We all are. I first noticed this about 3 years ago. My youngest daughter called me on my birthday. She sang, she laughed, she told me she loved me. And I was sitting right here in this same chair, and a thought crossed my mind that I did not want to have. It wasn't a comfortable thought, but it was true. Maybe she didn't call to make me happy. Maybe she just wanted to feel like a good daughter. I pushed it away, tried to let it go, but it stayed with me. Some thoughts, once they come, they don't leave. From the outside, I look like a man who was deeply loved. And I was. I'm not saying nobody loved me. I'm saying I realized, late in life, that there was something else living inside that love. Something I had never wanted to look at directly. Something that had always been there, quietly, sitting in a corner where I didn't have to think about it. And nowhere did I see it more clearly than in my own marriage. I have been married for 53 years. My wife's name is Betty. For 30 years, we've been sitting in the same two chairs in this living room. Hers is by the window, mine is by the door. We never once talked about it, never decided it. It just happened that way, slowly, without either of us noticing. I used to believe I loved her unconditionally. 11 weeks in the hospital, and I sat in that waiting room every single day, in the same plastic chair that felt like it was about to give out. And somewhere in all that sitting and waiting, I realized something I did not want to realize. I was afraid of losing her. But it wasn't just her I was afraid of losing. It was the feeling of coming home to someone who was waiting for you. The coffee, her chair by the window, the sound of another person breathing somewhere in the house in the middle of the night. I was afraid of the silence. That's not easy to say, but it's the truth. It never has been. What I thought was love, inside it there were other needs, ones I had never admitted to. Let me ask you something. When your partner makes your life harder instead of easier, when they're sick for a long time, the house is falling apart, and they can't give you anything, nothing at all, what happens to your love then? I know what happened to mine. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not going to lie to you either. And then I noticed something else, something harder to admit. I was doing the exact same thing to my own son. His name is David. He used to call me every Sunday, every week like clockwork. For years I thought, what a good son, what a loyal boy. That's love right there. Then, one Sunday he didn't call. His life had fallen apart on him. He was in pieces. 6 weeks went by without a word from him. And the first thing I noticed wasn't whether my son was okay. It was that he hadn't called. That's when I truly understood something about myself. I didn't just love David. I needed David to love me back in a very specific way, at a very specific time, every single week. And when he couldn't, when he was broken and had nothing left to give, I felt something close to resentment. I called it love for a long time. Decades, honestly. Now, I'd call it something else. Not wrong exactly, but incomplete. That's really what I learned at the bank when you get right down to it. People don't borrow money because they trust the bank. They borrow because they have a need. The bank is just the vehicle. The need is the whole thing. It's the same with people. People come to you for as long as they need you. When that need is gone, they move on. That doesn't make them evil. That just makes them human. For a long time, I couldn't accept that. I wanted love to be purer than that, because I watched thousands of people shake my hand, smile at me, tell me I was the best banker they'd ever worked with. You know when those same people stopped calling? The day they made their last payment. I didn't make that connection until I was 47. And then, years later, I understood what it actually meant. The thing that's unconditional isn't love. It's need. Need comes first, and love grows around it. Betty doesn't always recognize me anymore. Sometimes she looks at me like I'm a stranger who wandered into her kitchen, like she's never seen me before in her life. And I'm still here. I make her coffee the way she likes it, even when she doesn't remember that she likes it that way. And I finally asked myself, at 87 years old, why? I didn't like the answer, but it was honest. Not for her, for me. Because walking away would make me someone I cannot live with. And maybe that's what love actually is. Not perfect, not pure, not unconditional. Just the thing you choose to stay for, even when staying is hard. The people in your life aren't bad for loving you this way. That's the thing I need you to hear. This isn't a story about bad people. My daughter isn't a bad person for calling me because she needed to feel like a good daughter. That need is real. That love is real. But it was never about me. It never was. And here's the part that kept me up for 3 straight nights after I first thought it. I did the exact same thing to my son. Every time David succeeded, a promotion, a new house, a new car, I called him right away. I was warm. I was present. I was the father he deserved. But every time he failed, and he did fail, twice, hard, I pulled back, got quiet, got distant. I didn't know what to do with a son who couldn't give me something to feel proud of. I loved him most when he made me feel like a good father. I want you to sit with that for a moment. The people around you love you, but inside that love, there are things you've never seen, just like inside yours. That's not ugly. That's just what it means to be human. But here's the thing. I've been married to Betty for 53 years, and for the last 4 years, since her memory started to go, She doesn't always know my name. Some mornings, she looks at me like I broke into her kitchen, and I stay. Every morning, I make the coffee too strong, the way she always used to make it. I sit in my chair by the door. I talk to her, even when she doesn't answer. And I ask myself,